Hey, welcome to another episode of 3 Wide Life. I'm Meghan Kolb, and here with me is Mike Guerity. Fresh off of Daytona, a lot of exciting headlines going on.
Yeah, you know, the Gen 6 car made its debut. We had Danica on the pole. Really nasty wreck in the nationwide race. Thank God no one was hurt. And the thing that sticks out for me is we had a couple wrecks that took major contenders out of the race at Daytona, but we also had engine failures throughout the Toyota camp, and it really took some big names out of contention. I wonder if we'll see that at Phoenix, different racetrack altogether, and the Gen 6 car is going to a downforce track, which will be really fun to watch.
You know, and speaking of Toyotas and Cup racing, we had the opportunity to sit down with Martin Truex Jr. at his shop, learn about his family and his history in racing.
Well, I can remember it was, I was 4 or 5 years old when I knew I wanted to drive race cars. And I can remember as a kid, every Saturday going to the garage, which it was at my uncle's house where my dad and my uncle kept their modifieds. It was like a 4-car garage, just this old concrete floor, wooden garage. And every Saturday we'd go over there. I'd go over there for part of the afternoon. They'd get the cars set up, load them in the trailer, and then head for the racetrack. Well, the first couple years, obviously, I was too young to go to the racetrack with all the guys, so I'd have to go back home, and that was disappointing. But as I got older, I started going to the racetrack with them and helping with the cars and working on them, during the week in the shop and stuff. And I knew from a very early age that I wanted to be involved in racing in some way, shape, or form. And being somebody that I was always racing a bicycle or go-karts or riding motorcycles, I was always doing something with an engine on it that I knew someday I wanted to be a driver. I'll be honest, I was very far along in my racing career before it ever even crossed my mind. It was something that I grew up doing because I loved it. I loved working on my stuff, trying to make it faster and go out and beat the competition. It wasn't about, it wasn't me saying, I want to make a career out of this. This is what I want to do for a living. I did it because I loved it. I wanted to win races and just have fun doing it, and that's what got me here. Well, I started in karts, and in New Jersey, you had to be 18 to drive a full-size car, which most states is younger than that. So I raced go-karts for a long, long time, 7 years. And I wish I could have started in big cars sooner, but it ended up working out okay, and raced karts all the way up until I was 18. And then the week I turned 18, I was racing a modified at my local track at Wall Stadium. It would have to be the first start I made for Chance 2 back in 2003. I'd been running for my dad. We had our own team, of course, running the Busch North Series, which we were very competitive. We were winning races. We built a nationwide car and ran select events here and there a few times, and we were fairly competitive for the equipment we had and the money we spent. But when I got the call from Junior to go race for Chance 2 and made that first start at Richmond, that's when it really sunk in after that race. I was leading laps, I was right in position to win, had a shot at winning my first race with that team, and we broke the transmission on a restart. But I was as fast as anyone. There was Cup guys in the race. I was racing with Kevin Harvick, I remember, for the lead. And that night is really what made me sit back and say, okay, I can do this for a living. I can take this all the way to the top. So that's when it changed for me and it clicked. And before then, I never thought about it. It was just, I got a call to race a fast car and I wanted to go out there and see what I could do with it. But that moment changed everything. My dad has been a huge part of my career, all the way from, obviously being a little kid and teaching me right from wrong. And, he owned all the race cars I ever drove up until I came down here to North Carolina and started driving for Chance 2 Motorsports, which was Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team. So, he's kind of made me who I am. He's the reason I got here. Without him, without running the Busch North Series, which really got us running on some different racetracks, some big tracks, places where Cup guys run. We went to Loudon, we went to Dover, we went to Watkins Glen. So it was kind of a big stage for us to go out and run in front of those guys. And without being able to go to that level and do that, without my dad's support, I probably would have never got noticed and got the call, got the opportunity to take it to the next level. So in so many ways, he's been a huge part of my career, making me who I am, and obviously being the reason I got the opportunity to get where I'm at.
The two of us embrace the music moves so fast, then change.